Hello beautiful Win10 people, my name is Gecko and welcome back to another video. So the day has finally come and World Fabricator 2 is finally here. So in case you have no idea what I'm talking about, World Fabricator was basically one of my first add-ons that aimed to bring some of the tools over from World Edit. But it was kind of bad since it was like literally my second add-on that I've ever made. And yeah, I tried to expand it, but I just couldn't. And so I just decided to redo everything from scratch again. And so World Fabricator 2 was born. World Fabricator 2 has a ton more tools that you can use. And yeah, it's just so much better and allows for so much more creativity. Now there is one problem that I want to mention before we get into this video, and that is the fact that it uses a feature called game test. And the only problem with that is that it is currently not supported on console, although that will most likely change in the future. But according to this little poll that I did on my channel, it seems most of you play on either your phones or on PC in anyways, so it shouldn't affect too many of you. But for the ones that it does affect, my condolences. I guess you'll have to use the original World Fabricator for the time being. But without further ado, let's get into the video and let me show you all of the beautiful and brand new tools to offer in World Fabricator 2. Just before we do get started, I just want to ask that if you do end up enjoying this video and this add-on, please consider subscribing and even leaving a like. It really helps out a lot and let me know that you guys enjoy this sort of content. Oh yeah, if you're curious about the copper golems, check the video out in the top right corner. After this video, of course. Okay, so I found this cool little area that I can showcase the add-on in, but there's one slight problem. It's quite an uneven terrain, so how can we fix that? Well, first we're going to grab ourselves some tools. So we're going to need this, the select tool, and while we're at it we can also go ahead and grab ourselves the brush. So what we're going to do is we're going to select this area and basically just clean it up so that we have a nice building area. What I'm going to go ahead and do is to set a selection. Now you can set position 1 of the selection by taking the select tool and left clicking, and that will set position 1, and right clicking will set position 2. So I'm going to set position 1 to be over here. But I also want to get rid of this tree, but I'm not in the mood to pillar up and place a block here for me to select, so instead I'm going to do exclamation mark and pos 2. And now we have our selection, and I can do exclamation mark and delete. Unfortunately we got the error there, the selection area is just a little bit too big. So I'm going to make it a tiny bit smaller by just running the position 2 command again. And now the delete worked correctly and we can clear out this area. Okay, so I did a bit more tidying up, but I would like to cover in this area as well. So I'm just going to select over here, and I think about here should be good enough. And now we can do exclamation mark, fill, and just fill this with grass. And now we have that covered in again, and we're going to go ahead and do the same with this little cave entrance. Just cover that up so that we have a nice flat surface to build on. So the selection tool also has a few more features, but I'll show that to you guys a bit later on. So whenever you're using World Fab 2, you can type into chat exclamation mark and help, or just exclamation mark and H, and this will bring up a whole little tutorial on how to use all of the commands and tools just like this. Or you can just watch this video. I'll try to cover as many as I can, and whenever I add more tools in the future, I'll link to those videos in this video's description or comment section, so be sure to check that out if you're watching this video a bit later on. Okay, so I want to build a nice little mountain, and to do that I'm going to need a bit of a base to place the mountains on. So what I'm going to do is fly down here to the center of the area that we flattened and type exclamation and gen shape like that, and we are going to generate a cylinder. So you can do cell, or you can type out cylinder in full, where I'm going to place down a square bracket like this. I want this thing to have a radius of 5 blocks, and I think if it is 4 blocks high, that should be enough. Or mind you, let's increase the radius to 8 blocks. And we are just going to make this normal stone. And if I just fly up like this, you will see we have a nice little base plate to work with. Although it does appear to be a tiny bit on the small side. So I'm going to run this command again, but increase it to be, I think, 14. Let's make it 14. Yeah, this is a much better base to work with. So yeah, that is the gen shape command. You can generate all sorts of shapes. At the moment you can do like cubes, balls, cylinders, and I think cones. I think those are the only shapes. Although I do want to add a few more shapes in the future. Okay, so now everything is set up and we can get to doing some proper sculpting. So we're going to use the classic technique of using falling sand. But the problem is that falling sand tends to create a bunch of sand items as well when it breaks, and that can create some lag. So what I'm going to do is to type in !auto kill items and set this to true. And basically what this will do is whenever I drop any sort of item, so let's just do this, you can see it gets removed instantly, and so this will help solve some of the lag issues that you may face when building with sand. And if you want to stop doing this, you can just set this again to false, and now you can drop items once again like that, or you can just turn it back on to true, and now all of the items will be gone again. Very cool, I know. Okay, so to create a brush, we're going to do exclamation and then BR or brush. I'm just going to do BR because that's a bit simpler. Next, we're going to be choosing a shape. Now, since we're creating nice mountains, I think the cone shape will work nicely. Next, we're going to be picking the radius of our cones. I think a 5-block radius should work. And then we're going to be using sand. So just press enter and you can see a new sand brush has been made. So if we move over to the brush tool now and right click using this, you can see that our little sand will get placed, and you can just hold this down and kind of paint your way to create the sort of landscape that you want. Oh yeah, and also wherever you look, that is where things are going to be placed, so long as it's not too far away. Yeah, I think this is coming along nicely. So what I'm going to do next is to smooth this out just a little bit, and to do that I can either create a brand new brush with a different shape, or I can just do !shape and change this to be, I think a cylinder will do nicely. And while I'm at it, I'm also going to change the size by typing /s or size to just 3 blocks. And now we can just go in and detail this a little bit to smooth out some of the parts that we don't want to be as spiky as the rest. Now we have the basic shape that we are after. So now we can get to painting and adding some details. So what I'm going to do is to go up about here, I think, and set this to be position 2, and then I'm going to fly down to this side and just mark this as being position 1. And now I can do !full and set this to be stone. I want this to be stone type 0. But I also just wanted to replace the sand, so I'm going to make a bracket or a square bracket, and in here I will type sand and close the bracket. And now when I press enter, it should replace the sand, although it seems our selection is a tiny bit too big for Minecraft's liking. So I'm just going to do half for now. So let's do that again, and you can see it has been changed to sand. So let's just do that again. Okay, but let's say I want to change out more than 1 block at a time. So in this case, I want to change out the iron blocks as well as the gold blocks. So what we're going to do is to type !full, set it to stone, and we're actually going to make this stone type 3 just for demonstrative purposes. Add a square bracket, and here we're going to type gold underscore block, and then just do a space and type iron underscore block. Close the square bracket, and as you can see, both those blocks has been changed to diorite, while the center diamond block is still a diamond block. Okay, so since my mountain is a bit too big for Minecraft to handle, I am going to resort to just painting in the rest of the sand by hand. So to do this, I'm going to make a new brush that's going to be a ball shape that has a diameter of, I think, 5 blocks. Let's make it 5 block, the 5 block radius. And this is going to be made out of stone, just a normal stone, so stone 0, and have a mask of sand. And as you can see, a new stone brush has been made. And now when I right click, we can just paint in the remaining of this sand. As you can see, our mountain has now been painted fully, but it's looking a bit flat, so we're going to add a tad bit of texture to it by mixing in some andesite. To do this, I'm actually going to create a new pattern. Now I can either do exclamation pattern or just pat, and I think for our radius, just making it a pattern of that's as a radius of 3 blocks, I think that will work nicely. And this is going to be stone, and I think andesite is stone type 6, although I'm not sure, let me check. Okay, so 6 is actually polished andesite, so we want just stone 5. And we're going to add a mask that's just normal stone, so that we can add our pattern to our existing stone. And as you can see, a new stone pattern has been made. So we're going to take our brush, and now we can just go to town with this. And as you can see, bits of andesite will randomly be placed as we just fly around here and just hold it down for a little bit. Now, just like with the brush, you can change out the size as well as the mask, but you can't change out the shape. Okay, so now that we have our andesite mixed in there as well, you can see it does look quite a bit better and less like uniform, which I think looks quite cool. Okay, so next I want to add in some ice spikes, and then I'm going to add in some snow. Okay, so to make these ice spikes, I think I'm going to create a new brush that's going to be cone shaped, and I think I'll just make it, I think making it just a cone with the radius of, I think even 1 would work. And I'm actually going to use sand, and we can change out the sand to ice later on. A new sand brush has been created, and we can just place around some spikes like that. Okay, so our spikes have been made, and so now I'm just going to make a selection, and we can do exclamation full, and we're going to set this to be ice, and yeah, we're going to replace all of the sand. Just like that, and now we have our ice instead of the sand. Now, just before I show you the final product of our mountain, I want to show you 2 extra tools that I didn't get around to do in the main build. And yeah, so I'm going to do this by demonstrating how we could have made the glaciers instead of using our brush along with the cone tool. So you can actually copy certain things around in your selection. So I'm going to make a selection here and a selection over here by typing +2, and now I can do exclamation mark and copy, and that will copy that little glacier of ours. So if I go down here and do exclamation and paste, as you can see, it will make a copy of that little glacier over there. And even if we were to destroy our original one, you can still go ahead and paste this in, so you won't lose it even if you destroy the original. But something that is even cooler about this feature is that you can copy more than one thing at a time. You can actually copy all the way up to 16 things at a time. Technically I could have made this infinite, but I thought that would be a bit weird, and so I just kept it at 16. So by default it will always paste the most recent thing that you have copied. So, but let's say I want to copy this one that I copied right before copying this one. I can do paste and then do 1. So the first one will be 0, and so the second one is going to be 1. So if I do paste 1, so as you can see it pastes that one. And if I do paste 0, it pastes our first one again, and if I go and do paste 2, it will paste our last one over there. Another cool command is the rotation command. So if I make a new selection of this arrow, I can do exclamation and rotate. And now I can choose if I want to rotate it 90 degrees, 180 degrees, or 270 degrees. So just to start out, I'm going to rotate this thing 90 degrees, and I accidentally added an additional character, and as you can see I got the error message. But if I actually do 90, you can see that it got rotated, and I can do that again and it will continue to rotate. But let's say I want to rotate this 180 degrees. As you can see, it will rotate 180 degrees, and if I do 270, it will rotate 270 degrees. Very useful. So yeah, this is how it turned out, and I have to say, I think personally it looks quite good. I just detailed the ice a little bit more by mixing in some packed ice and adding in some random snow layers here and there. But this build wasn't the main focus. The main focus of this video was to show the true power of World Fab 2 to you, and hopefully I could convey how useful this could be in this video. So if you want to download this, the link will be in the description to go ahead and download this and try it out for yourself. But yeah, if you did end up enjoying this video and this add-on, please consider subscribing and leave me a like. I really appreciate it. But thanks for watching, guys, and I will see all of you again in the future with a brand new video. Cheers!